that occurred earlier today. So at approximately 12:45 this afternoon, we had a member of the service who was off duty in his personal vehicle traveling on Queens Boulevard in the service road in the eastbound direction. At some point, he pulls up to a vehicle, a white minivan that's blocking the roadway. The officer cannot get by the vehicle, and at some point, words were exchanged between the off-duty MOS and the person occupying the white vehicle. The officer was able to get around the vehicle, continued on his way, and here at this location here on Queens Boulevard at 70th Street, the two vehicles met up again. The male in the white vehicle had words with our MOS again, and a second male who was on foot ran up behind the off-duty MOS's vehicle and smashed his window. At that point, the off-duty MOS exited his vehicle, identified himself as a police officer, and drew his firearm on the two males and announced that the male was under arrest for breaking his window. Our off-duty member is trying to call. He's calling 911 as he's holding the two males at gunpoint. He's identifying himself as a police officer. At one point, he puts his phone down. He grabs the male who broke his car window. He's holding the male. He's announcing his authority that he's a police officer and that the male's under arrest. Our MOS reholsters his weapon. He's trying to hold the male, waiting for uniformed officers to arrive, where him and the male get into a struggle. As they're struggling, the other male, who we later learned these two males are brothers, comes from behind the officer, puts him in a chokehold, and they start both fighting the officer. They're both punching the officer. They're beating on the officer. At one point, they push him up on a car vehicle. They're trying to unholster his weapon and take the weapon from him. Our officer grabs his weapon. He's trying to retain the weapon. All three of the males go down on the ground. The two males are on top of our officer, continuing to punch him and kick him, at which point a round is discharged from the MOS's weapon. One of the males gets off the struggle. He runs from the struggle. The other male continues to fight with the officer, and another round is discharged. At this point, the male is on top of our officer, and our officer is laying motionless. Uniform officers finally arrive. They take control of the scene. They handcuff both the males. They later learn that one of them is a police officer. They remove both males to local hospitals. The other brother who ran from the scene initially walks into another hospital where he was apprehended. I had an opportunity to visit our officer. He's in good spirits. He has a gunshot wound to his left thigh. It's non-life threatening. At this time, there's no further subjects, no outstanding subjects, and this investigation will continue with our crime scene unit, our detective bureau, and our force investigations division. I'll take any questions at this point.
Anthony Carlo, WABC.
Chief, could you tell us what kind of weapon was used to bash in the off-duty officer's back window?
That I don't know at this point. It's still part of the investigation.
And also, I have a second question here. Can you tell us a little bit more about the charges that the second man involved in the off-duty struggle might face?
Well, at this point, we haven't even had a chance to get back into the precinct and establish charges. We will confer with the Queens District Attorney's Office, and they'll establish the charges at a later time.
Anthony Carlo, Pixel 11.
Yes. This is video that I personally observed. As I told you, the officer initially was holding him at gunpoint. He reholstered his weapon and was trying to control the subject with his hands. At that point, the two males begin to struggle. The other brother comes from behind, puts him in a chokehold, and they're wrestling the officer to the ground, and they're trying to take his firearm. They physically have their hand on his firearm, trying to remove it out of the holster.
Emo, same New York.
Is it clear who actually fired the weapon and the suspect who kind of wounded teammate?
Well, the officer was trying to struggle. He was struggling to retain the weapon. And as part of the investigation, we'll figure out later on exactly how it was fired and who had control of it. I don't have that information just yet. In terms of injuries, like I said, our off-duty member has a gunshot wound to the left thigh. One of the males has a gunshot wound to the hand, and the other brother has injuries to his hands where we believe we broke the glass.
Ashley Rodriguez.
Yes, I'll let Chief Kenny from the Detective Bureau talk about the two perpetrators and the history.
Good afternoon. The driver of the vehicle that initiated this incident was Mr. Edwin Rivera. He's a male, 32 years old. He has 4 prior arrests. His brother is Mr. Sean Rivera. He's a male, 27 years old. He has 2 prior arrests.
We have time for